Hello students, today we are looking at the components of a vector in three dimensions. Components of a vector in three dimensions. So if you are told to look for the magnitude of a vector in three dimensions, that means it's having what? X axis, Y axis and the Z axis. That means it's a three-dimensional solid. So x square, the magnitude is also known as a modulus. So magnitude of the vector is taken to be square root of x, square root of the square of the x component plus the y component plus the z component. Then the direction of the vector along the x axis will be the s component over the magnitude of the component. So alpha is taken to be the angle it makes with the x axis. Then we have along the y axis, that means beta is taken to be the angle it makes with the y axis, which is y component over the magnitude of the vector. Direction of the vector along the z axis will be, gamma is used to represent the angle it makes with the z axis, that is z over r magnitude. So also the formula for the unit vector in the direction of the vector is defined by, we said that was like we did in the two component also. So now that means the unit vector is taken to be r, the vector r over the magnitude of the vector. Now let's now back this up with some examples. Now find the modulus and the direction of the vector 2i plus 3j minus 4k. So first of all, we want to look for the modulus. So these two represent the s component, 3 coefficient of j represent the y component, coefficient of k represent the z component. So the magnitude will now be what? We say the square root of the s component square plus the y component square plus the z component square. So 2 square plus 3 square plus 4 square. So 2 square is what? 4 plus 3 square is 9 plus minus 4 square is 16. 4 plus 9 plus 16 will give us 29. So that means you look for the root of 29. Now the direction of the vector along the x axis, that is cos alpha, is equal to x over the magnitude of the vector along the x axis. So the s component is here is what? 2 over the magnitude of the vector is root 29. So to get the, so that means 2 divided by root 29 will give us 0.3714. So to get the value for the alpha, so that means you look for the r cos of 0.3714. When you look for the r cos, which will give us 68.2. Also direction of the vector along the y axis, direction of the vector along the y axis. So that means you having what? Cos beta, beta is representing the angle along the y axis, that's y component over the magnitude of the vector. So the y component of the vector here is what? 3. So that is 3 over the magnitude of the vector, which is root 29. So 3 divided by root 29 will give us 0.5571. So to look for the value for beta here, you are going to look for the r cos of 0.5571. So when you look for the r cos of this, it will give you 56.14. So that means the angle it makes with the vertical axis will be what? Y axis is 56.14. Now let's look at the angle, the direction of the vector along the z axis. So that means y and gamma is used to represent the angle to make with the z axis. So that means when z component over the magnitude of the vector. So the z component here is what? Minus 4. That is, we having minus 4 over the magnitude is what? Root 29. So minus 4 divided by root 29 will give us minus 0.7428. So to get the value, you need to look for the arc cos of minus 0.7428, which will give you 137.97 degrees, same thing as 138 degrees. So now let's talk about the unit vector. Find the unit vector of this 7i minus 2j plus 3k. So to calculate the unit vector, so we said that what is the unit vector will be equal to the vector over the magnitude of that vector. So first of all, let's look for the magnitude of the vector, which is what? Square root of the x component square plus y component square plus z component square. So 7 square plus minus 2 square plus 3 square. 7 square will give us 49, minus 2 square give us plus 4, 3 square is what? Plus 9. 49 plus 4 plus 9 will give us what? 62. So the square root of 62 will give us 7.874. So 7.874. So the unit vector of 7.874 will give us what? The vector over the root of this vector. So that means this can also be written as 1 over root 62 times the vector. So this will be the unit vector. So as work for your work practice, you are going to do this. Find the direction, cosines and magnitude of the following vectors. 1. 3i minus 9j plus 2k. 2. I plus 7j minus 5k. 3. 4i plus 3j minus 11k. 4. 10i minus j plus 2k. Number 2. Find unit vectors in the direction of the following vectors. 1. 7i minus 2j plus 3k. 2. 4i minus 3j plus 2k. 3. 5i minus 3j plus 6k. 4. 4i plus 8j minus 3k. Please ensure you like, subscribe and comment on this video. Thank you.